Welcome to Echoes of the Lost audiobook, where forgotten stories come to life. Dive into worlds of mystery, survival, and the unknown. If you enjoy our stories, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with our latest audiobooks. Chap 32, Gateway to Darkness. Ryder drove the scrap rig slowly across the bare metal land, his hands cradling the rusted wheel like a sailor steering through a calm yet menacing sea. The crescent moon hung fragile above a shattered sky, casting cold silver streaks that made the green lights on the ground blink like eyes that never rested. The engine hummed steadily, blending with the low hum of this strange place, now mixed with a deep thrum from beneath, like the pulse of a living machine hidden below. Lena sat beside him, her steel rod set aside, her sharp gaze sweeping the flat expanse, where the massive watcher machine with its blazing red lights trailed behind, escorting them north with haunting patience. In the cramped space behind, Torin held Mira, the young girl sitting still, her eyes wary on the metal floor, while Kalia leaned against the rig's side, her broken wooden stick in hand, silent but tense. The tank was nearly dry, but they couldn't halt. The call from below pushed them toward Archive, where truth lay buried in the dark. He slipped the Seraphim device from his bag, resting it on his lap, its red light pulsing evenly, the small screen glowing with the northern bit, the Archive label, and the last signal, Ryder, assembly point near. Prepare descent. Those words echoed in his mind, a whisper from a distant world bound to their fates. He opened his notebook, fingers brushing the page, writing slowly, Day 17 North, sound from below. Archive Phase 3, entry underground? He paused, eyes fixed on the screen, unease sharpening. Prepare descent, he murmured, voice low, mingling with the hum of metal. They really want us down there. Lena turned to him, her eyes glinting under the moonlight, a small flame refusing to fade in the dark. Where's the way in? She asked, her voice rough with cold air. The sound's closer, but I see nothing up here. She peered through the cracked glass, where the metal land stretched smooth, no sign of an opening. Ryder nodded, his gaze tracing the expanse, listening to the steady thrum beneath his feet. It's not random vibration, it's rhythmic, like machinery running. The entry might be hidden under the metal, opening when we're close. He stopped the rig, stepping out, pressing his hand to the cold metal floor, feeling the pulse through his palm. The farther north, the stronger it gets. The assembly point's near. Lena followed, standing beside him, hand on her steel rod. Hidden how? She asked, eyes on the flat ground. If it's a door, there'd be a mark. Ryder frowned, looking closer, spotting a faint circle on the metal a few meters away, barely visible under the moon, distinct from the surrounding surface, like a sealed weld. There, he said, pointing. Could be the entry, covered up. He wrote slowly, hidden entry, ground vibration, phase 3. He turned to the group. Stay back from the circle, we don't know how it opens. Torin peered out, his cloudy eyes tense. If we go down, can we get out? He asked, voice slow but trembling. Mira clung to him, eyes wide with fear. Kalia stepped down, standing back, eyeing the faint circle. Feels like a trap, she said, voice soft. They want us down there, for what? Before Ryder could answer, the thrum below surged, paired with a sharp whine, and the faint circle on the metal began to glow, faint green light seeping from tiny seams, like live circuits. The ground quivered, then the circle sank slowly, revealing a deep tunnel, its sleek metal walls gleaming, green light flickering within. It's open, Ryder said, voice tense. This is the assembly point. Lena stepped forward, peering into the tunnel, gripping her rod. It's deep, she said, eyes locked on the darkness below. You sure? Ryder knelt, examining the tunnel's edge, noting air rising from below with a burnt metal scent and a hint of dampness. Air's moving, there's a system down there. Could be a Seraphim base, or archive itself. He stood, facing the group. We have to go down, but carefully. Torin frowned, voice shaky. The rig won't fit, walking? Mira whispered, I'm scared. Ryder checked the device, its screen flaring, archive, Ryder, descend. Phase 3 requires presence at assembly point. He murmured, presence down there? He wrote, tunnel opens, archive below. He met Lena's gaze. Rig stays, we walk down. They want me there, I need to know. Lena took his hand, voice low. Risky, but I'm with you. Ryder nodded, eyes blazing. All of us go. They stepped to the tunnel's edge, the red machine still behind, green light guiding them, truth buried deep in the dark. Chap 33, currents below. Ryder stepped slowly down the metal stairs of the tunnel, his hands gripping the cold walls, like a sailor navigating a sunken ship in a midnight sea. The faint green light from circuits along the walls cast shadows on his face, highlighting his sharp eyes scanning every detail. The sound of footsteps echoed steadily, blending with the low hum from deep within, like the breath of a giant machine running endlessly. Lena followed close, her steel rod firm in hand, her gaze piercing the darkness below, where the tunnel sloped into the earth. Torin guided Mira, the young girl stepping cautiously, her breathing slightly quickened by the strange air, while Kalia trailed behind, her broken wooden stick in hand, her eyes tense but silent. The massive watcher machine with its blazing red lights stood still above, not descending, yet its presence lingered as a reminder of no easy retreat. The journey to archive now took them deep underground, where truth hid in endless shadow. He slipped the Seraphim device from his bag, its red light pulsing evenly, the small screen glowing with the northern dot now closer than ever, the archive label, and the last signal, Ryder, descend. Phase 3 requires presence at assembly point. Those words echoed in his mind, a whisper from a far-off world oddly familiar. He opened his notebook, fingers brushing the page, writing slowly, Day 18 North, Tunnel Descent. Archive Phase 3, Assembly Point below. He paused, eyes fixed on the screen, unease creeping in. They want us here, he murmured, voice low, mingling with the tunnel's hum. But why? Lena stepped beside him, her eyes glinting under the green light, a small flame refusing to fade in the dark. See anything? She asked, her voice rough with cold air. The air's weird, smells off. She took a deep breath, frowning, peering deeper down. Ryder nodded, pausing, pressing his hand to the metal wall, feeling the air rising from below. Burnt metal scent, but with dampness, like steam mixed in. Air's circulating, there's ventilation, but it's not pure. He inhaled lightly, analyzing slowly. Could be gas from a chemical reaction, not toxic yet, but long exposure will tire us. He wrote slowly, tunnel air, chemical gas, underground environment. He turned to the group. Breathe slow, not too deep, we don't know how far this goes. Torin steadied Mira, pausing, his cloudy eyes on Ryder. Like the gas at the outpost? He asked, voice deliberate. Myra's weak, I'm worried. Mira nodded, hand on her chest, her breathing slightly labored. Kalia stepped up, standing by Ryder, sniffing the air. It's making me dizzy, she said, voice soft. Like at the outpost, but fainter. Ryder watched Mira, noting her quickened breaths. Not like the white gas before, this is less toxic, but still hard on the lungs, especially for the weak. He rummaged his bag, pulling the last clean cloth, handing it to Mira. "Cover your nose, breathe through it, it'll filter some." He looked at the group. "We go slow, save strength, air might worsen below." Lena nodded, gripping her rod. "How deep is this?" she asked, gazing down the sloping tunnel. "I can't see the bottom." Ryder followed her gaze, noticing the green light fading below, hinting at a wider space. "Not too deep, vibrations are stronger, we're close to the assembly point." He moved on, listening to the thrum from below, now clearer, like a living heartbeat. Suddenly, the tunnel quivered faintly, not strong, but enough to halt the group. A cold gust rose from below, carrying fine gray dust that clung to the walls and their clothes. Ryder held out his hand, feeling the dust sift through his fingers. "Metal dust," he said, voice tense. "Like from worn machinery, or a reaction below." He scribbled fast, "Metal dust, vibration, assembly point near." Lena wiped dust from her face, eyes tense. "Dangerous?" she asked, peering deeper. "If it's machines, what's waiting down there?" Ryder frowned, analyzing. "Not toxic right away, but breathing lots will hurt the lungs. Could mean big activity below, a reactor, or production site." He faced the group. "Cover your noses, go slow, we're almost there." Torin wrapped the cloth for Mira, voice trembling. "I don't like this place," he said, holding his daughter closer. Kalia nodded, eyes wary. "Feels like a machine's lair." Ryder checked the device, its screen flaring, "Archive, Ryder, assembly point 50 meters. Presence required." He murmured, 50 meters? He wrote, "Assembly point 50 m, underground activity." He met Lena's gaze. "Close now, but careful, I need to know." Lena took his hand, voice low. "I'm with you." Ryder nodded, eyes blazing. "We all go." They pressed on, green light guiding them, the thrum echoing, truth nearer in the dark. Chap 34, light at the tunnel's end. Ryder stepped slowly through the metal tunnel, his hands gripping the cold walls, like a sailor feeling his way through a ship sunk deep in a midnight sea. The faint green light from circuits along the walls cast shadows on his face, sharpening his keen eyes as they scanned every corner. The sound of footsteps echoed steadily, blending with the deep thrum from below, now louder, like the heartbeat of a giant machine running without end. Lena followed close, her steel rod firm in hand, her gaze cutting through the darkness ahead, where the tunnel began to widen. Torin guided Mira, the young girl moving slowly, her breathing steadier with the cloth over her nose, while Kalia trailed behind, her broken wooden stick in hand, her eyes tense but resolute. The air grew heavier, carrying a burnt metal scent and fine dust, but they couldn't stop. The journey to Archive drove them deeper underground, where truth hid in the shadows. He slipped the Seraphim device from his bag, its red light pulsing evenly, the small screen glowing with the northern dot now just meters away, the Archive label, and the last signal, Ryder, assembly point 50 meters. Presence required. Those words echoed in his mind, a whisper from a distant yet strangely familiar place. He opened his notebook, fingers brushing the page, writing slowly, Day 19 North, near assembly point. Archive Phase 3, what waits? He paused, eyes locked on the screen, unease mixing with curiosity. "Just a few meters," he murmured, voice low, mingling with the tunnel's hum. "We'll see soon." Lena stepped beside him, her eyes glinting under the green light, a small flame refusing to fade in the dark. "Hear that?" she asked, her voice rough with cold air. "The thrum's louder, and there's a weird smell." She inhaled deeply, frowning, peering toward the growing green glow ahead. Ryder nodded, pausing, pressing his hand to the wall, feeling the vibration intensify. Yeah, faster rhythm, and this smell, like faint acid, maybe gas from a chemical reaction. He inhaled lightly, analyzing slowly. Air's wetter, steam mixed with metal gas, like from a reactor. He wrote slowly, acidic gas, vibration rising, assembly point. He turned to the group. Cover your noses well, this gas might irritate throats if it thickens. Torin steadied Mira, his cloudy eyes on Ryder. I see light ahead, he said, voice deliberate. But this air's bothering me. Mira nodded, clutching the cloth tighter, her breathing slightly quickened. Kalia stepped up, standing by Ryder, sniffing the air. It's stinging my eyes, she said, voice soft. Like when they burned sap at the outpost. Ryder watched the group, noting the gas's creeping effects. It's light, could be sulfur dioxide from underground sap reactions, not lethal yet, but irritating. He rummaged his bag, pulling a small metal shard and Kalia's broken stick, binding them with old cloth into a simple tool. Tap the wall with this if you can't breathe, he said, handing it back to Kalia. The echo will guide us if the gas gets thick. A small act, but it bolstered their odds in this alien space. Lena nodded, gripping her rod. Lights close, she said, pointing ahead, where the tunnel opened into a vast space, a brilliant green glow radiating from a massive structure in the distance. What's that? Ryder moved forward, eyes locked on the structure, a huge metal ring, tens of meters tall, pulsing with green light, like an energy gate. The assembly point, he said, voice tense. But not just a gate, maybe a reactor or seraphim device. He scribbled fast, green gate, high energy, phase 3. Suddenly, a strong gust rose from below, carrying thicker gray dust that clouded their view. Ryder raised his hand to shield his face, shouting, against the wall. The group pressed to the sides, dust sweeping past, leaving a fine layer on their clothes. Gas from the gate, he said, observing. It's ramping up as we approach. Lena wiped dust from her eyes, gaze tense. Is it opening? She asked, watching the gate pulse wildly. Do we cross? Ryder frowned, analyzing. This gas is a byproduct, not a trap. The gate might be the way into archive, but we need to be sure. He checked the device, its screen flaring, archive, Ryder, assembly point reached. Phase 3 complete. He murmured, complete? He wrote, Phase 3 done, gate the end. Torin held Mira, voice trembling. Done? What now? Kalia tapped the tool lightly on the wall, the faint echo steadying her. Ryder met Lena's gaze, eyes blazing. They want us through, I need to know. Lena took his hand, voice low. Together. They stepped toward the gate, green light enveloping them, truth closer in the dark.